Hey YouTube, it's Cello Ben, and it's, I want to say, day 14 of the 100 Days of Practice, chugging right along. Okay, tonight I'm going to look at the first major excerpt from Strauss's Ein Heldenleben, A Hero's Life. This piece is amazing, but it has plenty of difficult stuff. That's why they made it an excerpt, presumably. Because it's on, basically any audition a cellist is going to take for professional orchestra. A few things I want to focus on at the beginning. Well, there are three things. Number one, there's this main theme. And that's stated twice in this excerpt. And the first time it's forte, the second time it's fortissimo. So I want to make sure to not have it too loud at the beginning, and to make sure to really make that dynamic contrast at its second statement. Second thing, I want to work for a more continuous vibrato. As you just heard, that top note especially was losing its juice. So I need to try and figure out a way to get that there. And then third, I want to work to make sure that I come off of ties in time because I have a tendency to drag in this excerpt. I won't be able to actually monitor if I'm doing it correctly on this video, because in order to do that I have to record myself and then play it back, and that's not anything that y'all want to be sitting around and watching, I imagine. So instead I'm just going to do a little bit of metronome work too. But let's start with the continuous vibrato. I'll get the big motion going from my forearm. I'm going to exaggerate to start. My fourth finger's too flat, I think. So the thing is, the note is there for such a short period of time. How do I get it? I think it has to be already going by the time I get over there. By the way, when I'm looking at this, I've got a big mirror on my wall. Luckily, my apartment came with one, but if you don't have one and you're a musician, I think it's a really helpful investment if you can get a nice, large mirror where you can really see your movements happening in real time. I need to not use too much bow on this half note, dotted half note. I'm practicing with rhythms to try and get things smoother and more consistent. You may see cellists opting to do this fingering, which I do the second time around, because then I have to go up there and it's right there. But here I go down. Okay, so a couple things there. Number one is these. I went a little too hard on them, I think. They got too close to fortissimo, and it lessened the impact of the later statement of the restatement of the theme. So I need to check those out. And I think I might be rushing some 16th notes. Let's try with the metronome. If I recall correctly, a good standard tempo for this is around somewhere between 100 and 112 to the quarter note. Let me check this out again. I have it set on 100. Let's try that. 112 should be pretty good. Learned a couple of things there. Let me just turn this metronome off. Number one, it was less that I think my tendency is less actually to drag off of ties, but rather to rush the smaller note values, so I need to keep that in mind. Number two, couple shifts that were a problem, I think due to tension. Left hand. Now I have this sforzando coming up, but I need to make sure to not make it too punchy because I've got the fortissimo after it. Okay, so with this vibrato on this top G here, I think it has to do with the approach. Let me look at it slowly. I think some of it is in the left elbow. It needs to be up a little more. Oh, that was really tight. Okay, so let me try instead of shift. It might have to do with me shifting up for this second finger here. Let me try just extending to it. That wasn't in tune, but I'm going to fix that, and I think it's going to be a lot better. now I need to figure out why is it okay here in isolation, but when I put it in context, it's a problem. Let's see if I use a little bit less bow on the bottom and see what happens. Or maybe a little more. Getting better. Let's try on the opening one to see if it works. Okay, it's getting better, but I need to keep working. I don't really have time to do this on this video because it's getting really long, but I do need to keep working, for one thing, on loosening up and working with the bow to try and figure out that perfect ratio that'll get it nice and singing on top, and just figuring out the technique of that. But for now, I'm going to do a run through of this excerpt and then let you know what I think my next step should be. Okay, few things. I'm sure there are more than what come to mind here, and I'm sure I'll think of more if I go back and rewatch that run through, or go back and watch it. But main thing is tightness on the shifts. I was tight on this one, and I realized it, and I tried to loosen up, so that one ended up being in tune because I was consciously loosening. But then later, when I hadn't been having trouble before with shifts, it came about because I did get tight and I wasn't thinking about being loose. So I need to keep thinking about being loose throughout and try to figure out a way to sort of incorporate that into my natural playing. So obviously that's going to take a long time, but that is a next step in my general cello playing, where this piece is a great example of where it's necessary to be doing that kind of thing. And then just making sure the note values there are exact. That's another thing. And trying to keep the articulations good. So like those are staccati. So that's definitely something to work on. That's going to take some time because it's either not staccato, like in the way I've been doing it, I feel like it's either going to not be staccato enough or it's going to be like a chicken pecking at the cello. And I can't have either of those. Let's see. Let me just isolate it. if I start up bow? Ooh, no. Starting up bow, there could be a thing to try if I can get a good sforzando there, but that's not something that I'm going to do in the next coming days because I do need this excerpt for something within the next few days, but perhaps as a future experiment. So articulations, note values, working on that vibrato thing. It was better on the second time this time, but I took too much time. So I need to figure out a way to do it in tempo and at both of the dynamics where it occurs in this excerpt. So there are those. Tuning the double stops. That's another thing that I have to do because obviously those need that, as well as a few shifts preceding it. The latter are probably another tightness thing, so that's more to work on. There's a lot to work on in this excerpt, but I'm sorry for the kind of barrage that I just threw at you there, but like I said, there's a lot of work that I have to do on this excerpt. But if I don't cut off soon, I'm going to be talking to y'all all night, and I'm going to sign off because I have some work to do still, and then eventually I will have to go to bed. But I will see y'all tomorrow. Have a wonderful night, and take care.